welcome, gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a film from 1988. That movie is Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Now, I kind of have a story about this movie, you see. About 20 years ago, at the ripe young age of 13, I had discovered that late nights, Showtime would run cheesy, trashy, skin fucking flicks, and I used to watch those. Most of them were complete shit, and as much as they were trying to be sexy, most of them failed. I remember looking in my TV guide one night, and I saw they were going to run Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers around 1 a.m. I remember seeing the first few minutes of it, and then I remember falling the fuck asleep because 20 years ago I wasn't used to being up all frickin' night. So I missed out on it, and as far as I could tell, at least when I still had Showtime, they never aired this movie a second time. So that was my one and only chance, and I missed out on it. Now, I finally have my chance to see if this thing is any frickin' good. Considering the other shit that used to run on Showtime around that time, kind of have my doubts. But this thing could still shock me. This thing could very well be an amazing movie. The only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Okay, I'm going to say this. It was really cool the way that our hooker there just killed off her fucking John. But I have a question. So she bothered to put the tarp over the Elvis painting because she didn't want it to get messed up. But she didn't bother about anything else. There was a lot of splatter there. Is she really going to go to all the time to clean up everything and just didn't want to bother with cleaning up the Elvis painting? I understand, guys, it's a minor nothing. It's trivial and stupid, and the movie so far is cheesy and fun. But, you know, it's just something that I kind of have to wonder about, you know? I swear to God, guys, out of all the characters in this movie, the fucking bartender, probably one of the creepiest looking guys I've seen in a long time. There's just something about the look in his eyes that just comes off as just so weird and creepy. And for some reason, I have this odd feeling that that fucking bartender is going to play a pivotal role in this film as it goes on. Because he's had more screen time than most other characters. Which is kind of off to me. So these killer hookers are part of an ancient cult who believe in committing sacrifices with chainsaws. When asked why chainsaws, even though chainsaws didn't exist way back when in the days of ancient Egypt, oh, they have an answer for that. The chainsaw of the gods. That's actually kind of cool. It's creative. I was not seeing the cult thing coming, but certainly fucking cool. So the Chainsaw Cult's hidden temple has a big sign out front that says Temple This Way. God, I love this movie. It is so cheesy and stupid. I fucking love it, man. I really am. This movie is awesome, guys. Well, guys, I think I've now seen everything. Two characters are essentially sword fighting with running chainsaws. And you know what? That is every bit as awesome as I just made it fucking sound. That is amazingly cool. Well, guys, that was Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Let me shut that off. I kind of like how the movie ends with a text screen. I actually have it paused for this. Which is coming soon, Student Chainsaw Nurses. I don't think they ever made that movie. But after seeing this one, why the fuck didn't they make Student Chainsaw Nurses? That would have been awesome. I think that movie would have been great. Partially because I really enjoyed this one. Let's talk about Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, shall we? Writing. I didn't know what the hell to expect going into this. As I stated, I tried to watch it about 20 years ago or so when it aired on Showtime as part of Showtime's lurid, trashy skin friggin' flick, nights. And I got through like 20 minutes of it and fell asleep. Well, now I got to watch the whole frickin' thing, and the writing here, some amazing stuff. First of all, for those of you wondering if the title wasn't enough of a dead giveaway, this movie's a straight up comedy, and oh man, the writing is sharp as hell. I love it. Our main character Jack is a very hard boiled private eye, who basically is like a fifth rate Bogart, and when he does his narration, it is a straight up spoof of all of the hard boiled noir narration you've heard in movies for decades. And that totally works. And the guy playing it, I don't know which. I'm just looking at the back here. That would be Jay Richard. His name is Jay Richard. It's Richardson. Jay Richardson turned in an amazing show on that, but that's more acting. I'll get to acting in a sec. Dialogue given to him as well as the dialogue given to everybody else is amazing. Top notch, top shelf, fun stuff. Our story literally is the cops think that there's a serial killer who's wielding a chainsaw and is dismembering people. Jack finds out that it's not one person, it's an entire cult who worship the ancient Egyptian gods. I haven't read much into Egyptian mythology, but I don't think that either Horus, Anubis, or any of the other gods mentioned in the final act ever used chainsaws, even though this cult totally believes that they did. Don't ask, I have no frickin' clue. It was just more for the sake of being able to use using chainsaws, and that's more than awesome. God. Okay, that's good and loud. That's weird because my window is closed too. Anyway, let's just try to ignore the noise. Camera almost has to be picking up that. Anyway, our story really is just Jack following all of his leads and getting to this cult. And the cult is cool. I really do like how they took like an old warehouse. Yes, guys, in the movie, the cult's taken a warehouse and they turned it into a temple. And it's every bit as cheesy as you would think a cult who worships chainsaw happy Egyptian gods would be. It kind of sort of looks like if somebody wanted to make like a friggin' like Indiana fucking Jones style temple, but only had a budget of about $50. It looks awesome. It looks awesome for how cheap and cheesy it is. Really, guys, that there I think is like the best way to sum up everything here. I'm not talking about just writing. I mean the writing, the acting, everything is cheesy. All right, if you're into cheesy B movies, oh man, you are gonna love this thing. Because our dialogue is funny, our humor is, I always feel like saying sharp, and considering the fact that this is a movie involving chainsaws, that would be a very painful pun. And I know I said sharp earlier, and already felt myself kind of sort of cringing. But yes, our fucking wit and our humor is great. Nothing here, honestly, is too friggin' like cerebral or anything. It all is real basic, simple humor. But what is here works, and it is going to at least make you friggin' smile. And there's a lot here which is going to make you smile. There's a couple of bits that made me just full on friggin' laugh. But I don't want to spoil those jokes. Our characters, guys, this thing is the perfect B movie, which means there is no depth on these characters. You are lucky if you friggin' know the names of anyone who's not the main character, because there is no, guys, let me just put it to you this way. Jack, even though he's our main character, he doesn't have much personality outside of he's a private fucking dick, and that's it. The cops in the film, the only thing they have is that they're cops. And the chief is sick and tired of Jack always calling his home phone, and even on his answering machine is bitching at Jack for calling him again. Yeah, that's one of the jokes. There is one thing though that is kind of sort of lazy in terms of writing, and this does sort of tie into the jokes, is because Jack is a private eye. they always use the term private fucking dick, and it's just basically there to basically throw out as many friggin' dick puns and dick jokes as you possibly can, and that's fine because there's only maybe 5 of those across the entire film. And even though the film's kind of short, the movie's only an hour and 15 minutes long. But still though, every single one of those jokes feels so forced. And when you have those few really bad forced jokes amongst a script full of really awesome humor, those 4 or 5 forced jokes are gonna fucking stand out, and they are going to just make you cringe because it literally is a violent drop in the writing quality. Now, mind you, again, that's only about 4, maybe 5 horrible fucking jokes. Everything else here at least works, and is going to, at the very least, make you frickin' smile. Hang on. Excuse me. Anyway, so writing here is for the most part strong, at least by B-movie standards. Our acting is also very strong by B-movie standards. This is in no way good acting, folks. I am not going to say that the cast of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers should have been up for an Oscar. Fuck no. But I will say that what is here for acting is really fun. Every single cast member here, you can tell, we're just having a blast with everything. Special mention of that goes to our lead villain, Gunnar Hansen, who plays the Master. Gunnar Hansen, anytime he has to open his mouth and give out a line of dialogue, it is as cheesy as somebody credited as the Master can get. He is just gnawing on the fucking scenery, and it works. It works for the character, and god damn it, it probably also worked because Gunnar Hansen is just a really decent fucking actor. But yeah, our entire cast looked as if they were having a fucking blast working on this thing. So all of them are just going out there, and they are just having the time of their lives on camera, and you can tell. There is such awesome chemistry here. At least I feel that there was some awesome chemistry there on camera, and you can tell that everybody was really, really comfortable, and it does help with performances, because when you are on set and you're comfortable with everybody else who is on set, and you're just there to have fucking fun, everything honestly just flows so much better. This movie was a joy to watch, guys, partially because the acting was that, joyful and free, and it worked. It really did. And the people who couldn't act, it really didn't matter. They still had this feeling of actually wanting to be there. So when our two lead hookers, Mercedes, and I don't think they ever give the name of the other hooker. At least I don't remember them ever giving out her name. The two of them cannot act. Just full fucking stop. They can't act. But their bad acting is so cheesy it actually kind of works, and it makes the whole thing fun. Special effects. I'd like to say right now, you would think with a title like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, you'd have gore everywhere. You really don't. There is very little in terms of actual gore. There's tons of blood friggin' splatter everywhere. But there's very little actual gore. There is very little chainsaw entering human body gore, which is fine. I actually kind of sort of like all of the graphic shit to be off camera here. It actually kind of works, and there's something fun about a character with a friggin' chainsaw running, and they're just kind of sort of pushing it, and they're sort of pushing the blade out of frame, and they're just getting splashed with bucket after bucket of blood, and whoever the hell is throwing the blood will also then throw out a couple of fucking body parts, an eyeball, a finger, a whole fucking hand, and it just looks cool. It's stupid, cheesy, fun, cool shit. Is it friggin' good? Fuck no, it isn't friggin' good. But I kind of think that was sort of the point. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be just cheesy, goofy shit. You look at it and you laugh at it because it's cheesy, goofy shit, and that's what I loved about it. There is very little here in terms of special effects that is not just blood being basically just splashed out at whoever the hell is wielding a chainsaw. So yeah, there really isn't much here, but what is here is certainly kind of fucking cool. For all of its cheesy, stupid goofiness, it's still fun to watch. Lighting here is really strong in most scenes. There actually is one scene, and when I first saw it, it looked incredibly homely as shit because of how the scene was lit. But after about a minute, I got really used to it, and it was really cool. And it was one of our victims. Basically was paying one of the hookers to pose naked with a baseball bat while he takes photos. The problem is we have one light source coming in on this side, which is ridiculously orange. We have another light source coming in this way, which is powerfully blue. So almost everything is almost split down the middle perfectly, orange and blue. And it looked ugly as shit for like the first 30 seconds of that scene. That scene goes on for about 2, maybe 3 minutes. But after that, you just start looking at it, and it just starts looking cooler and cooler with every passing second. Unfortunately, there is no other scene which has that kind of lighting, which has that kind of oddball style lighting. And that is really kind of sort of a shame. Because if they would have put that kind of funky fucking lighting inside of, say, the temple, that would have been awesome. That really would have been friggin' cool. However, though, unfortunately, we are left to that one scene being lit in such a weird fashion. And that is probably for the best. I'm actually kind of thinking about it, and if they would have lit the entire film like that, it would have probably been ugly as shit because as a scene, it has really awesome, like, novelty. But if they would have drugged that lighting style out for the whole thing, it probably would have sucked. So honestly, I guess putting it in for just one scene is incredibly beneficial, because it really does make that one scene stand out. All right, it really does make Hermie trying to pay off this hooker to, pose naked with a baseball bat. Just sort of makes that scene kind of stand out a bit. Shit, I actually was able to I was able to remember the name of the victim. I just said that this movie makes almost no effort to make you fucking remember the names of any of these characters that aren't Jack or the Master or Samantha. Samantha's our lead female. That's it, but I somehow was able to pull Hermie's name out. I don't even fucking know how. But that scene was awesome, partially because of how it was lit. It was a really interesting lighting style. Everything else here has got practical, simple, basic friggin' lighting, and it totally works. In fact, it actually does help make that one scene stand out even more. Camera work here is really good. Everything here is all friggin' like stationary. There is very, very little in terms of panning shots or any of that. Almost everything is just stationary shots, 2 shots, all that fun shit. And that's fine. That is awesome, all right? I have no problem with a movie effectively refusing to do a whole lot of camera movement. It actually, again, it is kind of beneficial for this movie that it doesn't try to be all fucking, artsy and do all these, like, sweeping shots. B movies normally don't have a whole lot of those. So, boom, it's perfect like that. Oh boy, what else can I talk about? Soundtrack. Soundtrack here is awesome. We have a whole bunch of, like, rock tunes, very, very, like, mid-'80s, late 80s, like, hair metal-ish rock tunes. There's one song which is supposed to sound like Elvis, and that is because Mercedes is a big Elvis fan, which is why she covers the Elvis picture in tarp before she takes the chainsaw to her victim at the start of the movie. And we hear this very Elvis-y song playing in the background. Very cool sounding song. The soundtrack here was really solid. Our score here is really awesome. Our sound mix, that's probably the one spot where things kind of go south. And it has to do with the chainsaws. Sound mix and the chainsaws right here is the one spot where it all kind of falls to fucking pieces. Let me try to explain. So when our characters are firing up the chainsaws, it doesn't sound like a natural startup. It's like silence all the way up, and then suddenly, boom, we are now in mid fucking rev up on the friggin' like chainsaw. And it's very weird when you actually hear them when you actually hear them revving up the friggin' motor on there, which normally is supposed to cause the chain to actually spin, and the chain is stationary. It's also even weirder when the chain is actually moving and the chainsaw sounds like it's fucking idling. They had a very hard time syncing up the chainsaw sounds, but that's really, guys, the one lone problem for sound mix. Everything else here is great in terms of actually being able to hear people. If they had to go and like dub in friggin' lines, they actually match the mouth movements for the most part. There's maybe like a half a second delay between actually seeing the mouth movement and that when they are dubbing in dialogue. Beyond that, though, guys, our sound mix is freaking flawless. Guys, when all is said and done, well, I mean, beyond that and the chainsaw problem, the sound mix is flawless. So, guys, when all is said and done, I'm able to recommend Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Yes, if. This is a big if, guys. If you're a fan of B movies, you're going to love this thing. But then again, if you're a fan of B movies, you've probably already seen this. Or you at least have some knowledge of it. This movie is better than I could have ever freaking expected. Honest to God, guys, I had the bar set ridiculously low on this one. I had no fucking clue. This sucker was actually kind of fun. And I had a ton of fun watching it. I love the fact that this sucker is going to be in my Blu-ray collection in a couple of minutes, man. This sucker, totally worth watching if you're a fan of B movies, and if you haven't seen this thing yet, you almost owe it to yourself. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, the blurb on the cover here is from Maxim Magazine. Maxim Magazine apparently did some kind of like a countdown of the greatest B movies of all time. According to the blurb, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers came in 4th. I can totally agree with that. If I honestly were to start listing off some of my favorite B movies of all time, this sucker here is probably going to rank up there really high. Granted, it's never going to top something like, say, Death Race 2000 or Dawn of the fucking Dead or Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, but still a fun movie. I loved it, and this sucker's going to have a very happy spot in my Blu-ray collection. Now, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Robert. Guys, please swing on over to Robert's account on SoundCloud. I'm not sure what he all has over there, but he did tell me he wants me to send you guys over to his SoundCloud page. I'm not totally sure what is over there, but please go over there and listen to whatever Robert has. Dude, I want to thank you, because it had been 20 years. And the only thing that ever stuck with me was that fucking title, and I never had the opportunity to watch it. I finally got that chance, and it was thanks to you, and that is fucking awesome. You rule, dude. Once more, guys, please swing on over to Robert's SoundCloud page. Now, I'm kind of in the mood to watch more B movies, and I think I know where I'm going to start. I just mentioned Death Race 2000. Yeah, I'm going to go start with that. And then I'm just going to start picking B movies out of my fucking Blu-ray collection. Believe me, I have tons of them. I'm going to be here a while. And then maybe after I watch like 5, 6 of those, maybe I'll come back to this. Who knows? Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Reaction and Review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.